everybody. Today I got a little review of the old, if you remember, this all-in-one diesel heater I bought. Do I recommend one of these? Well, let me flip you around here and we'll just talk about it. Okay, I'd say most of y'all remember this, or most of y'all have probably seen one of these before, or a lot of y'all have. This is basically the top part, without the black toolbox on the bottom, is a all-in-one diesel heater. It is basically the same type of diesel heater. You can see the unit right here, that you can buy to put in your van or house or whatever. The same kind that the remote that I got works on. Now, you can see it's got a little diesel. It's got red diesel in it. I've been using it at work. But you can see the mods that I've done to it. I put you can probably see down in there's a little lithium battery inside here. And I've got some other stuff in there. Just, it's storage as well as a battery box. Because the reason I put the battery, I use it by hooking these alligator clips to the battery on whatever I'm running it by. But the battery that's in there will run it. Now, the whole point of having the battery in the bottom is so that if, which has happened before, one of these alligator clips come off, or if you're using a cigarette lighter plug, then you can very easily blow the fuse to the cigarette lighter plug in your vehicle or whatever, and then you lose power. Well, when you lose power on one of these types of heaters and it doesn't get to go through its cool down cycle, it will melt itself down. It will destroy the circuit board. It'll cook the bearings. It's also CAT approved. But anyway, yeah, see, I have this set of wires that I unwrap, and I run a roller at work. I'll actually put a shot up that I took of me on the roller explaining it, but I turned the roller off because I thought that would be quiet enough. But apparently my phone was picking up the sounds of this heater, which I actually have this cranked up to where I don't know if it will show it. Oh, gotta turn the switch on. It's foggy. There we go. Yeah, you can't really, yeah, you might be able to see it. If you can see, I have it cranked up to where it runs at 7.2 hertz. And that is higher than what probably most of you are used to. Now, the reason for that is because I run this outside. And turn my switch back off. I run it outside, and it pretty much the heat goes to waste, most of it. But I have it so that it blows on me, and on that roller I get cold because my hands get cold, and there's water that sprays up to keep the drums wet, so you get that water spray cooling you down in cold temperatures. So this thing is a lifesaver in that case. You can see by the case it's kind of beat up. When I strap it in, I strap it to the roller. I use this, also use this to carry it with. This makes a good little carry handle. It balances instead of having to. It's a little hack that I would recommend anybody to do that gets one of these. They're not as heavy without the bottom box, but still, when you get diesel in it and all that, it's a little heavy. But if you put a strap through these two handles, you don't have to carry it by the individual handles. You can just reach and grab it and carry it like that. It makes it much, much easier. Just one-handed, really easy. At first I was carrying it by one of these, and that ends up doing like this. And if you've got it full of diesel, it comes out of the hole right here. Now this thing is rugged, apparently, because a roller doesn't have any suspension. It's just steel wheels mounted to a steel frame, and there is no type of suspension. The roller is a very, very rough riding piece of equipment. But yeah, I think it's been about 2 years, and it's been on the roller when it's cold weather, and this thing has taken a beating, and it just keeps on going. Now, very, very impressed with the quality of it and the toughness. Now, like I said, you can see, I mean, it's been banging off of the roller there where it's been strapped on. I've strapped it both ways, so both sides are scratched up. They're just scratches, doesn't hurt it. Yes, this is thin metal, and it's pretty flimsy. The latches are not great on it, but they have held up. That's the main thing. This display, which you may notice, is foggy around the edges. Now, there's a reason for that. And there's something on the lens there too. But, yeah, that's like dirt or something. But the reason that there is fogginess inside of this lens, now it lends itself to these being fairly well built. I have forgotten this thing out in the truck several times. The whole thing has set out in the truck. It's poured the rain on it. I've actually had times when it started pouring the rain at work while I was out on the roller. This has gotten wet. It's gotten wet being carried to the truck and on the way home too. So that display has been soaking wet several times. You can see it's not really protected. There is nothing really over that. This doesn't go over it. So the rain goes directly on this little controller. And I know it's gotten wet on the inside because I have taken it off. It just pops off. And shook it out, and water has ran out of this control. I do know that you can get these controls. I wasn't that concerned about it. I know you can get these controls pretty cheap and just swap it out. But the fact that it went through all of that and it works perfectly fine now. So yeah, that's another testament to the durability of these things. This heater amazes me in how durable it is. Now, what are the use cases for it? Okay, so who is this heater really good for? Now honestly, no matter what your use, you could just save your installation time and everything and just buy one of these and just run your exhaust outside. Or if you wanted to use this to camp in a van or a tent, this would be perfect for a tent, because you can leave this whole unit outside. And if you've got the remote that I will link in the description, the Buick remote, it's the automatic remote thermostat that I showed in one of my last videos. It will control your temperature, and you can leave this outside on the ground outside your tent, where you don't have you can direct your exhaust away from the tent and make sure it's not like laying in a pile of leaves or anything like that. Just direct your exhaust away. Now see, that would be perfect, because I don't know if you can tell, but this is where I put my exhaust on this one. And yeah, I know it's blowing the same direction as that, but like I said, I'm using it outside. And that little bit of heat, I have taken a can of soup and laid it on top of this little exhaust pipe, and it will heat the soup up too, so it actually can cook while you're running it. But anyway, make sure if you're running it in a tent or a van or anything like that, get the exhaust away from your tent. But you can set the whole unit outside, use that little thermostat, and it will maintain the temperature in your tent without taking up any room in the tent. Cut a little hole, run a duct into the tent. There's your heat. And having a heated tent in the wintertime would be pretty nice. Also, the positive pressure, if you seal the tent up, it's still going to leak air, but the positive pressure coming in will actually inflate the tent and make it a little bit bigger. You'll have a little bit more space in your tent. I tried that, and it's kind of neat because it inflates it. It puffs it up. But anyway, in a van, you could do the same thing. You could just run one duct in from that to heat your van up. You could install this permanently in a house. I always believe that these should not be just dependent on an AC power supply, because, you know, the power could flash off for 5 minutes and your heater is ruined in those 5 minutes. I would highly recommend putting some type of a battery to power this when the power is cut, because if you lose power on these two connections and you don't have a battery to back it up, then you're going to burn out your heater very fast, and you don't want that, of course. You want to keep your heater in good working order. If you're working, I've had it like working outside, like under a vehicle, or have it beside of you working on like brakes or something like that. You can just set it up and have it blowing straight on you. Would I recommend this little diesel heater? Heck yes. It is an amazing little piece of kit that you can buy. They're not very much. Like I said, I'll put a link to it in the description. And if you work outside, or if you need one of these diesel heaters for anything, this is a pretty good form factor right here. In fact, if I was to buy another one to install inside of a house, I would probably get another one of these instead of just individual heaters themselves, because you just pretty much put it down and you've got it. Hook it in, you're done. You may have to run the exhaust out. It's no big deal at all. Oh, one thing that I do recommend. All right, like I was saying, one thing I do recommend that you do, put you a fuel filter on it. If you don't have a fuel filter, the fuel filter has to go before the pump. And yes, I know my pump is not laying at an angle, but as long as it is either straight up and down or at an angle, it's fine. Like I said, it's been about 2 years through some really rough usage, still working fine. This right here is a lifesaver, because diesel is kind of dirty, and this was pre-tapped, but I do like the way that they tapped it. It's not right on the bottom, it's up just a little bit, so that the deposits that diesel inevitably ends up having, or water or whatever, will go to the bottom. And that way you're not sucking up all those little particles and putting them into your heater or into your pump. The heater could probably handle it, actually. The delicate part of these heaters is the pump. Now the heater itself can probably handle a little bit of trash. And yeah, if you look down in there, there is, if it will focus on it, there is, yeah, there it is. There is a little bit of trash down in there. And that's because anytime that you're dealing with diesel fuel, for some reason, diesel fuel is kind of a dirty fuel. That's my little review of the all-in-one Chinese diesel heater. This one anyway, it's the only kind that I've owned. They do have some cooler looking ones, but as far as working, I know this one works, so that's the one I'm recommending. I don't know about the newer kind of cooler looking ones. They may work better, I don't know, but this one works fine. Anyway, just wanted to do a little review on it. This is one kind of iteration of this heater that some people may think is just for certain use cases and not good for anything else. But I'll tell you, this little heater is very good for, you could use it for anything that you want. You could heat your garage, you could heat your van, whatever. whatever you want. You could heat your house like I do. Uh, yeah, highly recommend them. Anyway, I guess that's going to be about it for this video. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.